GM everyone, welcome back to Weaving Web 3. We are at ETHCC and I have a really exciting guest for you. We have Martin, the co-founder of Zircuit. So, what is Zircuit and why is the ZK EVM going to be changing the world?
Okay, awesome. Well, my pleasure to be here. So Zircuit is a zero-knowledge rollup. We are developing an EVM equivalent zero-knowledge rollup that has some special sauce around sequencing. So what we do before taking any transaction and including it into a block, our sequencer essentially asks a question whether this transaction is malicious or whether it's safe for block inclusion. And if the transaction is malicious, we use AI to simulate it and to detect whether it has malicious intents. So if it really is malicious, we put that transaction into the quarantine so it doesn't make it into the next block. So this way we are trying to foster a safer environment and protect the protocols and users of Zircuit. Why ZK EVM is going to change the world? Well, I mean, this is the future, right? Zero-knowledge rollups, they have great advantage as opposed to optimistic rollups. For us, it is a superior technology. When you are rolling something up, you are scaling Ethereum in the first place, right? When you are taking it optimistically, it means that nothing becomes final within the period of, whatever the waiting window is, right? It's in the order of 7 days. And within those 7 days, there is a good chance that the chain will be rolled back. When you're rolling something back, you're essentially creating a damage for somebody else, right? You're choosing whether you are letting the hack slip through and not rolling it back, therefore damaging the hack parties, or whether you are damaging the clear users or the honest users who made some actions based on the fact that something has happened on chain already, right? This is problematic in any case. So therefore we chose to build a zero-knowledge rollup in the first place because it doesn't suffer from these problems. Whenever something is rolled back on L1, it comes with a proof and it means that it will never be rolled back.
Absolutely. So what's the advantage of using AI compared to the traditional distribution of validators?
So we are still using validators, right? The validators and those network nodes, in our case, they are primarily providing access to the Zircuit network for users. So they are still accepting transactions, they still form a peer-to-peer network, and they are ensuring that these transactions will make it to the sequencer in the first place. Where we use AI is for forming that opinion whether the transaction is a hack based on the effects that the transaction has on chain. And that's where AI has tremendous advantages. It can be fully automated based on the trace. It can see what is happening and it can tell you, no, this should not happen in the first place.
Okay, awesome. And Zircuit is also parallelised. So what's the advantage of using parallelization?
Of course. So as it currently stands, zero-knowledge proofs for any kind of EVM, they are very hard to generate. They require a lot of computing power. You are definitely not able to produce them on consumer-grade hardware. You will need a lot of RAM in the order of hundreds of gigabytes. You will need expensive graphics cards. So the zero-knowledge rollups, they take the cost that it takes to generate the zero-knowledge proof, and they either subsidize it or they project it onto the users. Now, in our case, we want to fully subsidize it, at least for the time being, maybe forever, and that means that we want to drive that cost that is required to generate the zero-knowledge proofs down as much as possible. Now, when you are proving that a transition from one state to another state over a transaction or a sequence of transaction was done properly and you are generating the zero-knowledge proof, you have to prove multiple facts about the execution. You have to prove that you have checked the signatures of the transactions. You have to prove that you modify the storage of the blockchain in the proper way, and so on and so on. And these facts, they are in a great way independent. And because they are independent, we can actually be proving them simultaneously and in parallel. And eventually we take those proofs that were obtained simultaneously and we aggregate them into a single proof that is later submitted on-chain. So that actually allows us to reduce the number of proofs that we have to submit on-chain, which also carries a cost, but also because we are able to process those small claims in parallel, that speeds up the whole process. And because zero-knowledge rollups, they gain finality when the proof is provided on-chain and verified on L1, the time that it takes to generate this proof, it directly affects the amount of time that the user has to wait for being able to withdraw their assets from L2 onto L1. So we try to parallelize this process and therefore help the users to actually operate with the chain a little bit more effectively.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's my biggest problem. When I do my DeFi stuff, for me to move large amounts of money, I focus on security, so I will use the native bridge. And because I use optimistic rollups a lot, I would rather do that. But my biggest problem is that 7-day period always be like, oh damn, I may need that money in a faster period. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to sacrifice security and use some of the other L2 bridges that allow me to do that. But with Zircuit, what would be the challenge period? How long would it take me to move my funds from the L2 to L1, then I can send it into my accounts?
Yeah, absolutely. So zero-knowledge rollups, they do not have that challenge period, right? It's literally zero time. So it depends how quickly you can produce or how quickly the system can produce this zero-knowledge proof. In the case of Zircuit, we are currently able to produce proofs in order of 20 minutes or so, and we have multiple machines working on that, right? So currently, our proofs show up in roughly this cadence. Over the time, you can expect that this is going to speed up.
Oh, that's amazing. So, as a founder, what kind of users and what kind of developers do you want to be building on your chains? What's the ideal applications? Are you going for everything, or are you going for like specifically DeFi strategies and then expand slowly? Because I always see some chains going for everything and then they're just basically trying to capture every part of the market, but then they're losing so much because they're just not doing it correctly. So what is your vision, basically?
Yeah, absolutely. So Zircuit is a general purpose computing blockchain. It's EVM equivalent, therefore anybody can deploy any kind of protocol that they currently have. It can be NFTs, it can be whatever you want, right? So we are a general purpose blockchain. At the same time, the feature that I was talking about, the sequencer level security that we are introducing to the market, that one clearly aims to protect DeFi protocols. The majority of damages happen either on bridges or happen on DeFi protocols. So those are probably the protocols that will be able to benefit from our features the most. But again, everybody is welcome, and we want to offer a safe environment for everybody, regardless of what they're building.
Okay, so if for example, I got hacked, would let's say for some phishing link, would the sequencer be able to tell if someone was trying to, let's say, offboard the funds, that is potentially a problem?
It depends how you get hacked.
Okay.
So you specifically mentioned phishing, right?
Yes.
In a phishing attack, I essentially make you as a user sign a transaction that you didn't want to sign, and that transaction takes those funds and transfers them somewhere, right? So again, we are using AI. The AI is working with execution traces, but it also works with some history of chain, with some history of activity, with some additional metadata. So if we detect that you are transferring your assets to an address that has the history of scams and is receiving assets from such attacks, then it very likely be quarantined, and you will have to take some additional steps to actually do that.
Yeah.
So therefore, it has a solid chance of protecting you. If you happen to be the very first person who got phished, then it is questionable.
It's unlikely, for sure.
It is
it's
unlikely.
LLM and it has to learn, for sure. So what are you most excited to see or seeing built on Zircuit right now? Is there something like, damn, this is some innovation happening right now?
I am a huge DeFi enthusiast, so what I would like to see being built on Zircuit is DeFi.
Yeah.
I would like to see another DeFi spring and summer to show up, and I would like to provide an environment for this to be possible. So definitely DeFi. Zircuit is actually going to launch mainnet this summer.
Okay.
It's coming in the order of weeks, maybe also days.
Oh wow.
So and every single protocol will be by default protected by the security feature. So in this sense, I would very much like to see DeFi, and a lot of DeFi and innovative DeFi that we haven't seen before.
Oh, that's amazing. So what could you build on Zircuit that would not be, let's say, possible on another chain? Or if there's anything.
Okay, so I have, could build everything that is possible on all the other chains. Again, the EVM equivalence, it allows every single developer to work exactly with the tools that they are used to, that with the smart contracts that they are used to on other chains. So in some sense, it doesn't matter whether you are building it for Zircuit, on Zircuit,
Yes.
or whether you are building it for another network and also deciding to deploy on Zircuit, right? So I definitely want to see all the lending protocols. I want to see all the stable coins. I want to see all the DEXs, but I want every single LP in these individual DeFi protocols to feel a little bit more safe about their deposits and not suffer from the consequences that might be present on other chains.
No, absolutely. So anyone watching here right now, what would you tell them? Why should they come and be onboarded to Zircuit? Like if you had to say like this is our vision.
Okay, so Zircuit is cheap, Zircuit is fast, and Zircuit is safe. That's why you should come and build on Zircuit.
Oh, so I think that's everything that we need in DeFi right now. It's because I've been scammed myself and it hurts, but if you have all these protection and knowing that there's a project out or a chain out there that is for the people, for the security, then yeah, it's something I would love to check out as well. And if you had like any final words to just summarize, or is there anything that you really want to get out that people should know?
I really want to get out that you should come build on Zircuit.
Okay, perfect. That's really good.
But thank you for having
so
me.
much.
I really
Amazing.
appreciate that.
Thank you. That's amazing.
Thank
Oh.
you.